I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, August the 21st, brought to you in part by VITALIX by Neuter. One less needle and a few less worries. It's a liquid supplement of trace minerals and vitamins to aid in providing nutrients needed to support a healthy immunity and maintain health. For more information, visit buymedaus.com. Spay and neuter your citizens. That's kind of the Bob Barker deal. I think that Kamala Harris is the Bob Barker of politics, and they're sure high on that there at the Democratic National Convention here. They've got everything set up right there. You get a free hot dog if you take abortion pills, or you get a vasectomy there. It's all set up right outside the convention, and just amazing to me. They support, according to reports, there's no time slots left. They're booked up there, and I can see a lot of the women that are out there, protesting and stuff. I can see them coming in to get an abortion pill, doubtful that they need it. But what gets me is all the men signing up for vasectomies, and I don't know, maybe they've got chutes and stuff set up right out there, and they might even have Dr. Ron Gill, he's an expert in handling practices from Texas A&M. He may be the one that's getting those intact males to go through the chute without a hot shot, to get those intact males in there for emasculating. And I tell you what, if they had me in that chute, they'd have to have a solid sided half circle there, and I'd still jump out. But I don't know if they're going to have one of those chutes set up to emasculate any producers that come to San Antonio for the NCBA convention in February, to try to get them to stop resisting mandatory ID. But the producers are saying, why should I have to do this? It's not doing any more than what we're already doing to help disease traceability. And why does anybody but me need to know what's going on with my cow herd, and who's going to be using that information, and what are they going to be doing with it, and who else can come in and scan the EID tags on my cows? Maybe they'll do it with drones. Ask some of those producers over there in Europe what they've made them do. Pay $100 a head tax, global tax there, or maybe just line them up in the silage pit and kill a big part of them because they decide that they're hurting the planet there. I don't know. But we got a big pushback now that we're getting the word out from regular producers, especially small producers, that are saying, we don't want to do this mandatory EID tax stuff. And you're saying it's just going to be on our replacement stock or on our breeding stock, but we know because we saw in the plan that USDA put out that they want them from birth to slaughter. So they're just putting their foot in the door by talking about doing it on all intact breeding stock over 18 months old. But it just doesn't seem right that the government's coming in and forcing us to do this, and then the biggest trade association is coming in and pushing that hard. They're really pushing hard on this. They've got real upset about it, especially some of their biggest state associations that they've got out there, the biggest affiliates that they've got. I mean, there's some big reason that they want all this done. And I guarantee you, it's not disease traceability, because it's not. It may be a little bit easier to scan those, but as far as disease traceability, it doesn't do anything more to help that, and it's not stopping anything. But in fact, in the past several years, our government has even gotten to where when they're bringing meat in or bringing stock in from other countries, they've lightened the traceability and the inspection. And I just don't understand why they're wanting to do it, but it's about total control. It's not about this traceability that they're talking about. and then you got the, if the ones that are pushing back on it say, I don't want to do it. And I know most producers that I've talked to said, I'm not going to do it. I just won't do it. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, you can't market those cattle. You can't move them. You can't market them. They say, you're going to have to pay the sale barn that you're sending them to put them in. Sale barn says, I don't want nothing to do with it. I ain't got no time to do it. I don't have enough room to do it. I can't find the help to do it. I don't care if you're going to let me pay to do it. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to pay my customer extra money to do something that he doesn't want to do. But then there's going to be a corporate feedlot that's going to be there, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, fella? Don't worry about it. We'll take care of those EID tags when we take them straight to our feedlot. Here's you a little, shooting a foot bid on those cattle. We'll just take them in there. Don't worry about those EID tags. It'll be all right. We'll take care of them right there. So then you've screwed the sale barn and you've screwed the producer. I tell you what, this thing is starting to come to a head a little bit. We're learning more about this mandatory EID stuff, and it stinks to high heaven. But the board tanked again on Tuesday, big time. And now that we've seen it do that twice in a short time there, it's starting to feel that we're getting closer and closer and closer to the ledge that we're going to drop off of. And it's a lot of people really got scared on Tuesday when we saw the board tank so much. And here we are deep in August. We're August the 21st. In less than 10 days, that August feeder cattle contract has to line up with your CME cash feeder cattle index. No problem. CME cash feeder cattle index tanked over the weekend, or when it come out on Monday. It absolutely tanked. Down 272 just from the end of last week to what it come out on Monday from. Hardly any sales down there because the market's been down. Nobody's selling any cattle there late in the week. So how can that happen? Because they dumped 10,000 head of direct sales in your CME cash feeder cattle index pool there. And they're a foot lower. Over 7,800 of them from Texas for that Friday report, and they averaged 236.93 whenever we were way higher than that. Hell, our real-time index, which is just auction cattle, is nearly 248, and Texas dumps directs in there at 236.93. I'll guarantee you they were all junk. But how does that information get collected? Well, 30 years ago, when I first started with USDA Market News, we used to talk to country buyers, and we would get the information from them. And the guys we knew what kind of cattle they were because we talked to them about what kind of cattle they were. And we knew that when the delivery was, and everybody kind of knew what was going on, and we got that information in, and we trusted it. But soon after that, we saw a big group try to manipulate the index there. So then after that, when they tried to do the manipulation of the index and they had to go to court and do all this stuff, then USDA comes down and says that we've got to have more information about those trades than anybody wants to give. So at that point, no individual would talk to a market reporter anymore about direct sales. So at that point, we just started getting all of them on a fax from your big corporate feeders. And that's all it's ever been. Now they collectively do them all in one office, where it used to take us all morning to make calls on a Friday to get your direct feeder cattle sales. It just comes in. I'm sure they don't fax it anymore, probably just an email that just has your big, the few big corporate feeders on there. And you know that they're picking and choosing what they're turning in, because you look at those direct feeder cattle reports out of Texas and Kansas, and you don't get much ever out of Nebraska or South Dakota or anywhere like that, because there's no good cattle on them. And so then you think, well, I wonder if they're just picking and choosing what they're turning in. Hell yes they are, because you never see any calves and you never see any heifers. Why? Because it doesn't behoove them to turn those in. It's just index cattle on those direct reports. And they are absolutely manipulating things with that. And I think it has a lot to do with the reason that the feeder cattle board tanks so hard. Especially it's weird when we're right here at the end of the month whenever your spot market tanks over $4 and knowing that it's got to meet up with your index because the index tanks so much. Well, they had room to let it go. And then your out fronts are a bunch lower too. But I mean, it's just frustrating, the whole industry, the way we're having to deal with it. We got big outfits trying to push us around. We don't even really know where they're wanting to go with it, but we just have to go with the flow like sheep. And it just kind of reminds me of those fools at the Democratic National Committee or convention there going in to get clipped to get a free hot dog. You know, and they're wanting, and why are they wanting to limit our population? Why are they, you know, I'm glad that they're not going to be reproducing those people, but why are they wanting to downsize our population? Well, because we've got all these foreigners coming in from our southern border, and they're not Mexicans. All the Mexicans that wanted to come in, they go back and forth. They don't think nothing about it. But it's people that are from some scary places. And the Democrats assume that they're going to vote for them. Who knows if they know how to vote or have any interest in voting. They just know they can come over here and get a lot of free shit. Let's talk about our board for Tuesday. August live cattle futures down 177 at 181.02. October down 342 at 175.60. Live cattle futures for October down 342, 175.60. We were getting in the 190s for cattle just last week. Not going to happen this week on a direct basis, guys. Your back months on live cattle futures down 197 to 340 lower. August feeder cattle, one I've been talking about here, following the index there, down 417, less than 10 days before it has to meet up with CME index. Of course, they know it's going down too now. 238.20. September down 477 at 234.50. Your back months all down 372 to 455 lower. Ouch. December corn down 2 1/4 cents a bushel at 398. November beans unchanged at 976. Hard red winter wheat for December up 4 3/4 cents a bushel at 561 1/4. Your fat cattle trade, we had some people go ahead and trade. I mean, they're spooked. And we had some trade in all 4 of your areas that we get information from, and it was a lot lower. Iowa sold 7,000 on Tuesday from 187.5 to 188. We had cattle up to 191 last week. It's at least $3 lower, guys. And some dress trade at 295. That's about $3 lower. Nebraska sold 2,200 on Tuesday before 2 o'clock. So I mean, as soon as the board closes that much lower, bang, they're doing it because they wouldn't have got them reported other than that. At 186, Nebraska fat cattle trading at 186 direct, guys, on a Tuesday. Dress sales 293 to 295. Kansas sold 1,200 at 184. Texas sold 600 at 183. Stockman's livestock market in Yankton, South Dakota is an auction market. They sold them higher than they did direct, but they were still a foot lower there. At 900 in overnight, 1,400 in for the total cattle auction there in Yankton, South Dakota. Fat cattle sale, conventional fat steers and heifers bring from 184 to 189.50. That was 3.5 to $5 lower. Program cattle, non-implanted or drug-free, bring from 187 to 193. That's $2 to $3.5 lower. Ouch. Tell you what, when you have another day big down like that after we did there, 2 weeks ago, it just, it's frustrating. And even though our fundamentals are just as good as they were when we were hitting all-time record highs in every class of cattle, if your CME decides and your big corporates decide that they're ready to take this thing down, you better get buckled up. Box beef cutout values were lower also. Choice was down 47 cents at 315.08. Select's down 97 cents at 301.04. Slaughter through the first 2 days of the week, pretty good. A lot better than last week. And last week we hit over 600,000 for the first time in about 3 weeks. But 241,000 estimated slaughter up through Tuesday. That's 7,000 better than this point a week ago. Just 6,000 less than this point a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. That's your LRP specialist with Dakota Moss there. And I tell you what, if this wasn't a good example of why you need LRPs, then I don't know how you would give one. Talked to several people on Tuesday. The ones that had LRPs were so relieved that they had taken those LRPs out. The ones that did not have LRPs in place, sick. And so, you got to look at them, guys. I mean, you can at least call them and find out what it's going to cost and find out what protection you can get. Look at these other agents that are listed here. They're all good, including Steve Anderson, and he's going to make the report here again in a minute. But he's over there in Arkansas, and he can do you a good job. I know him. For more information, go to livestockriskservices.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, and it's going to be lower. I mean, whenever you just pull the rug out from under the board like that. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Tuesday is sitting at 247.77. That was down 53 cents. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index 243.85. Real-time index 247.77 with no directs. CME index with less auction cattle, but all those direct cattle in there, 243.85. Wow. And our big sale on Monday was Faith Livestock. Not going to get those quoted in there because they don't have a reporter, but they're in the real-time index. But don't forget about the big sale in Creston, Iowa, at Creston Livestock Market here today on Wednesday. It's a barbecue customer appreciation sale, 3,000 head, including Justin Peterson's 1,050 head of top quality feeders there. Walt Lynn's got 400 in there. Going to be a really good sale. If you can't get to Creston, Iowa, get on DVAuction.com. This could be a hiccup. You don't want to miss something there. Let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri had 2,200 head through the ring and another 996 on their in-house video that they do every single week with help from DVAuction. And Steve Anderson that I talked about that sells the LRPs with Livestock Risk Services, he puts those in-house video deals together. And he had a good one for the way things are, a good one period, on Tuesday there at West Plains. But the cattle through the ring at West Plains, Missouri, the feeders were steady to $5 lower. And the calves that haven't been being hit so hard with this down board and everything were a lot lower in West Plains. $3 to $8 lower on calves at Ozarks Regional Stockyard, with spots as much as $14 lower. Called by my conservative trend caller there, Dan Hill, who I helped train, and he's a good guy, knows what's going on, been doing that for a long time there. But on their in-house video, they had, like I said, nearly 1,000 cattle in there, including the Gardner steers out of Batesville, Arkansas, which I always like Batesville, Arkansas, because that's where Mark Martin was from, if you're an old school NASCAR fan like I was. But it's not too far south of West Plains there. But those cattle sold right off the farm there. Now the Gardner outfit had 670 total grass steers there to sell, but they split them up a little bit. They had 223 or 4 loads of black steers. These were purchased cattle, bought when they were peewees, bought at like 300 pounds, peewees, and then backgrounded, but they'd be absolutely foolproof. And they pulled those 4 loads of the blacks, 223 head of those, to weigh 930 pounds to deliver pretty quick at $231. That's a hell of a good price on some cattle there sitting in Arkansas. The balance of the cattle, which there was more of those all the way up to the balance of 670 head. The balance of them bring 220, 250. But that's a good way to market cattle, video style, right through a regional market there in West Plains, Missouri. Talk about some other sales. How about Unionville Livestock Market in Unionville, Missouri? I've been talking about their special sale. Told you that Rock and R was going to be bringing a lot of cattle in there. They ended up bringing 6 loads. That's one more than they thought originally, but they bring 6 loads of steers in from the Rock and R outfit in Lucerne, Missouri. There was 361 of them. The average on the loads was 870 pounds. The average on the price, $247 1/4. So about $4 better than the cash index and 70 pounds bigger. So pretty good price there. Some other individual quotes from all around. How about Kingsville Livestock Auction, Kingsville, Missouri? They sell feeder heifers really good there in Kingsville. 150 head of them weighed 696 and bring 251 on heifers. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, on the eastern edge of the Oklahoma Panhandle there? They sold some big heifers. I told you about them on our last visit. They was going to have some big fancy heifers in there that would weigh better than 9. There was 50 head of them. They weighed 907 and they bring 217.75. There's a lot of steers weighing in the 9s that won't bring that, guys. How about Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas? They sold 54 steer calves, weighed 578, bring $3 a pound. So we can still get that in the right place on the right kind. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Unionville Livestock Market in Unionville, Missouri. It was 61 steers, a little greener, weighed 860, bring 255.85. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.